Thank you all so much for your prompt attendance. We do have a consent agenda, but before we get started, Hannah, could you please take the attendance?
Councilmember Toombs, Allen, Benedict, Druffel, Glover, Mendez, Porterfield,
Here.
Roten, Sledge, Swara, Syracuse, Vercher, Young. You have a quorum.
All right, thank you so much. We have a quorum, so we will go ahead and get started. We do have a consent agenda today. Before I read that consent agenda, does anyone have anything that they know needs to be bumped off? Councilmember O'Connell, did you want to be recognized?
This way. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Can we bump RS 2021-1131 if that was on consent?
1131?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have anything else? All right. So for the consent agenda, we have RS 2021-1089, RS 2021-1115, 1118, 1119, 1120, 1124, 1126, 1127, 1128, 1129, 1130, 1132, 1133, 1134, 1135, 1136, and 1137. Did we have anything else that needed to be bumped before we start reading the captions? Going once, going twice. All right. RS 2021-1089, Sledge Tomb, Murphy, Hertzwer, and Bradford approves a grant from the Metro Historical Commission Foundation to the Metro Historical Commission to assist with costs associated with the site's master plan for Fort Negley. RS 2021-1115 approves an amendment to a grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Metro Department of Finance to provide public assistance for costs incurred for severe storms, straight line winds, and flood in March 3rd and 4th, 2020. RS 2021-1118, Toombs, Murphy, Van Rees, and Swara approves a grant from the Tennessee Historical Commission to the Metro Nashville Historical Commission to provide for a comprehensive countywide cemetery preservation plan for Davidson County. RS 2021-1119, Toombs, Taylor, Welsh, and Swara approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to the Metro Board of Health to provide supplemental foods, nutrition, education, and breastfeeding promotion to eligible persons to promote good health. RS 2021-1120, Toombs, Taylor, Welsh, and Swara approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Human Services to the Metro Board of Health to conduct immunization record audits for child care centers, drop-in centers, and group child care homes to ensure the safety and well-being of children and families in Tennessee. RS 2021-1124, Toombs, Van Rees, Welsh, Allen, and Swara appropriates $30,000 grant contract between the Metro Nashville Public Library and Oasis Center Incorporated to provide services to help youth grow, thrive, and create positive change in their lives in our community. RS 2021-1126, Toombs authorizes the Metro Department of Law to compromise and settle a personal injury claim of Reyna versus Smalling against the Metro government in the amount of $22,500. RS 2021-1127, Toombs authorizes the Metro Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Jocelyn Ibarra against the Metro government in the amount of $7,200. RS 2021-1128, Toombs authorizes the Metro Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Felisa Martin against Metro government in the amount of $7,200. RS 2021-1129, Toombs, Van Rees, Vercher approves an in-kind grant from the Joe C. Davis Foundation and the Friends of Mill Ridge Park to the Metro Board of Parks and Recreation to create a master plan for the Moore Farm at Mill Ridge Farm. RS 2021-1130, Toombs and Van Rees approves a grant from the Friends of Mill Ridge Park to the Metro Board of Parks and Recreation for the construction of a primitive trailhead at Mill Ridge Park. RS 2021-1132, Withers, Toombs, Van Rees, and Allen approves an in-kind grant from the Nashville chapter of the Tennessee Ornithological Society to the Metro Board of Parks and Recreation for the installation of bird crash deterrent window film at the Shelby Bottoms Nature Center. RS 2021-1133, Taylor, Toombs, and Van Rees approves an in-kind grant from the Tennessee Tennis Association to the Metro Nashville Parks and Recreation Department to help Centennial Sportsplex maintain its facilities. RS 2021-1134, Taylor, Toombs, Van Rees, and Swear approves a grant from the Centennial Park Conservancy to the Metro Nashville Parks and Recreation Department for the construction of the Children's Memory Garden in Centennial Park. RS 2021-1135, Toombs, Murphy, Nash, and Gamble approves a flood mitigation assistance grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Metro Department of Water and Sewage Services and authorizes the acquisition and demolition of 4 houses located in various floodways, floodplains in Davidson County. RS 2021-1136, Toombs, Nash, Welsh, and Allen approves a grant agreement between the Metro Department of Water and Sewage Services and Hands on Nashville for an AmeriCorps program participant to perform volunteer services on Metro Waste Reduction Program and activities. And RS 2021-1137, Toombs authorizes the Metro Department of Law to compromise and settle the property damage claim of Laverta E. Robertson against Metro government in the amount of $30,000, $684.57. Before we move the consent agenda, is there anything else that needs to be taken off the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, can we get a motion? It has been moved and properly seconded, and I believe we just lost quorum.
With Mendez leaving, Yeah, I was gonna say, Mendez just walked out to talk on his phone, but let's see. Did anybody else come in the meantime? Glover, Roten, Sludge, Vercher?
We are on a very brief hiatus as we have lost quorum, and we will start back momentarily.
Sorry.
All right, it has been moved. The consent agenda has been moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Consent agenda passes. RS 2021-1113, Toombs and Gamble approves a contract between Metro Government and Youth Opportunity Investments, LLC to Youth Opportunities of America, LLC for operation and management services for the Davidson County Juvenile Detention Facility. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Do we have any questions? Councilmember Mendez, you are recognized.
I think I see Judge Callaway in the back. I'd love to hear for a couple seconds just that she's comfortable with the contract and the changes of the contract, and that because we believe in her, we should believe in the contract.
Thank you so very much, Councilmember Mendez. Judge Callaway, thank you so much for spending your wonderful Tuesday afternoon with us, and you are recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Madam Chair. And thank you, Councilmember Mendez, for those kind words as well. I am here along with Latana Williams, who is now officially our full-time contract monitor, which is one of the things that we were able to work on through the last budget, and we did definitely thank you all for the support in the budget process. This change in the naming of YOI is clearly only because of the name. What they have done as a business operation, they operate our detention facility along with several other residential facilities throughout Tennessee. And because of their business model, they needed to separate out detentions from residential to make sure they're providing the appropriate services for a detention facility versus a residential facility. So this change does not do anything to affect the business operations that they have with us. The management will be the same. All of the operations will be the same as well. And we are definitely satisfied with the changes that they have made since the escape incident a couple of years ago. And Ms. Williams does a very good job of monitoring and staying on top of them. So we are satisfied with the change.
Thank you, Judge, and thank you, Ms. Williams. Welcome aboard, and thank you also for your service. Are there any additional questions from the committee? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. RS 2021-1116, Swore, Toombs, Welsh, and Hurt, approves the recommendations of the COVID-19 Financial Oversight Committee to distribute $3 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds from the COVID-19 ARP fund to provide rent and mortgage and utilities payments for Davidson County residents who suffered a negative economic impact during the coronavirus pandemic and who do not meet the eligibility requirements of the HOPE program administered by the Metro Action Committee. Can I get a motion? It has been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Do we have any questions? Councilmember Sora, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No question, but for the sake of the viewing audience and those that did not watch affordable housing, this resolution basically, as it states, it's supposed to help us with those that did not meet the income eligibility requirement with the OPE application. And so the application with MAC is those that earn between 0 and 80% AMI. What this is doing is catching those that makes between 80 and 100% of AMI. And this will be administered through the United Way, So this is another way to provide relief for those that narrowly miss the eligibility requirement. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Councilmember Sora. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
Just briefly, I mentioned this in affordable housing. Totally support the idea of this. I have talked to Hannah about the idea that during, for the CARES Act, there were two different formats of resolutions we used. One that used the word appropriate and required grant contracts, and then another one that didn't do either one of those things. And I think it's a bit of a sloppier form. For this particular legislation, the sloppier form was picked up, and I've asked that for the other $250 million we've got to spend here, that we make sure that the resolution uses the word appropriate, uses the account number that the money's coming from, and requires there to be a grant contract for the receiving agency rather than the way it's worded in this resolution. And again, totally support it. Thanks for everybody's work on it. Definitely should approve it. But for the other $250 million, we should improve the form of the resolution.
Thank you so very much, Councilmember Mendez. Would anyone else like to be recognized? Anyone else need to chime in? All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstention? Motion passes. RS 2021-1117, Withers, Toombs, Swore, and Welsh, authorizes the Metro Development and Housing Agency to enter into a pilot agreement and accepts payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to a multi-family housing project located at 407 South 4th Street, known as the Shelby House. Can I get a motion? It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Are there any questions? Is there anyone that needs to speak on it? Looking at you, Mr. Wilshire. All right. We're good to go. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. RS 2021-1121, Toombs, Taylor, Welsh, and Hurt, approves a contract for services between the Metro Board of Health and Neighborhood Health Incorporated to provide homeless individuals with medical services at 2 or more clinics in or near downtown. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Councilmember Sora, are you abstaining on this one? Are you an abstention on 1121, Councilmember
yes,
Storer?
yes, I am.
Okay, so we have Councilmember Storer marked as an abstention. All right, motion passes. RS 2021-1122, Toombs, Taylor, Gamble, Welsh, Swear, and Hurt approves a grant contract between the Metro Board of Health and the Mental Health Cooperative to provide expertise and staff in emergency behavioral health care to support the launch and pilot year of the Metro Nashville Police Department's co-response model, Nashville Partners in Care. We do have an amendment. Do I move the amendment first? Can I get a motion on the bill, please? It's been moved and properly seconded, and now we need to move the amendment. Do I move it? Okay, I will move the amendment. Can we get a second? Thank you. The amendment has now been moved and properly seconded. And Hannah, could you please explain the amendment?
Sure. So this amendment just adds a grant budget to the grant contract. The contract references a grant budget. I think it was just inadvertently left off. So this just adds the grant budget that's referenced in the contract.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Motion carries. RS 2021-1131, O'Connell, Toombs, and Van. I believe that's what I just did. And that was voted on as amended, just for clarity. Thank you so much. RS 2021-1131, O'Connell, Toombs, and Van Rees approves an amendment to an in-kind grant from the Historic Capital Corridor Foundation to the Metro Nashville Parks and Recreation Department for the purpose of providing continued programming, maintenance, and staffing for the Church Street Park. Can I get a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Do we have any questions? Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On this one, I guess just I'd like to understand from the administration where we are. Just over a year ago, June of last year, we faced extraordinary pressure as a council to not even defer the initial version of this for a single meeting while we had had no public discussion about the status of the park. After we did so, the park remained closed until just a few weeks ago. And while I am excited, since it has been reopened, that people seem to have responded well, I'm also concerned that we have not had any kind of plan of action from either the administration or the Metro Parks Department. And I'm eager to have the programming that we've seen continue. People have responded well to it. The park seems to be succeeding, but I want to make sure there is a plan for Metro to put some skin in the game and invest in this resource it fought so hard to maintain. So we'd love an update from the administration here.
Mr. Jamison, you are recognized.
Admin table.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Councilman O'Connell. This was an effort by the administration to continue the program that we had seen, as far as we could tell from our outreach to the downtown constituents and stakeholders. They were satisfied with the current programming. I would be bereft if I did not ask to see if the Director Odom or anyone from Metro Parks was here to provide additional information, but I can certainly provide further information for the council member. I just don't have it at my disposal at the moment.
Councilman O'Connell, you are recognized, but it looks like we do have someone from Parks. Okay, so we'll defer to Parks.
I was actually going to add that our planning division is not actually here right now to give a firm update, but we are working with the, as it stated, with the Historical Capital Corridor Foundation. They are providing the programming currently in the park.
Councilman O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you. And I guess, you know, I think what I've been pushing for from the outset here is something that would be like a 3 to 5 year plan. I don't know. I have not heard confirmation of any kind that the Historic Capital Corridor Foundation intends to make these 6-figure in-kind donations for a period of up to 5 years. But I think downtown residents are certainly expecting that the park will not retreat to its previous state of a lack of programming and a lack of staff capacity there. I know the Nashville Downtown Partnership has been involved in maintaining this, and I think as we go forward, I have higher expectations than we've currently reached about the nature of how this is funded and basically how the planning process plays out. So, we have had. I've got a letter from last year from the mayor himself anticipating a greater public process. That has not yet happened, and I'm still going to hold the administration to that. I think we still need a planning process that yields a more sustainable outcome here. I'm not going to turn down this grant, but I am going to use this opportunity as a reminder to the administration that we have not fulfilled the obligations of last year when we approved this initially. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connell. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, all hearts and minds clear. We'll go ahead with the vote. All those in favor say aye. This is approving, yes. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. And, I think we have one more piece of legislation before us. Moving on to BL 2021-864, Syracuse, Mendez, Bradford, and O'Connell amends the Metro Code regarding the abatement of property taxes for certain improvements or restorations made to historic properties as authorized under the provisions of the Tennessee Code annotated. Can I get a motion? It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Do we have any comments, questions, or concerns? Councilmember Syracuse, did you want to be recognized? You're recognized.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair. Just very briefly, this is a collaborative piece of legislation with the administration, as we discussed when we passed the historic tax abatement program. That one thing broadly that we need in these kinds of programs is a cap. And so that this one does now have a cap with this proposed piece of legislation. So I appreciate the administration's effort to be collaborative on it, and I move approval. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Do we have anyone else that wants to be recognized? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. And with that, we will conclude our meeting. Thank you.